In her book, Rising Strong, psychologist Brene Brown says, I want to be in the arena. I want to be brave with my life. We can choose courage or we can choose comfort. We can't have both, not at the same time.
So, how can we become more comfortable with discomfort?
One way is to become more resilient. And today, Cindy and I will show you ways to become more resilient.
Welcome to this episode of Choose, where an actor
And a therapist
pull up a couch on the stage of life.
and help you use your power of choice to choose resiliency, courage over comfort.
I'm Cindy Barlow, the actor,
And I'm Wendy Rawlings, the therapist.
and our mission is to remind you that you can't choose your challenges.
But you can choose your responses.
In this episode of Choose, Wendy and I will help you become more comfortable with discomfort. In other words, we're going to help you find ways to be more resilient. Wendy, tell us what resilience means.
Well, psychologists define resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. One of the greatest examples of resilience that I've seen in a long time is the recording of Kiela Settle uh, for the green lighting of Greatest Showman. She was afraid of doing this part in front of people. She gives a little bit of an interview in the front of the clip, which is the link is down below for it, and I really encourage you to watch it. It's just so inspiring. But if you watch it, you can see her face move from fear, from where she's behind the music stand to as she starts to sing about this is me. It's an anthem and such a great song. She moves out into the arena, out into the ring of people of the chorus and the support people in there who are singing with her. It is such an inspiring clip to watch her move from fear to confidence to resilience. It's worth the watch. And so Cindy and I have watched it together, and we're going to talk, we're going to comment a little bit about it, and then we'll translate those comments into some things that we can learn and do.
Wow.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Hold
it's
on.
not often we get to see transformation just happening in front of us, but there it is, moving from frightened to resilient right there. And all the people that helped her, but you could just see on her face and in her body language the moment she chose courage over fear.
Yeah, that was so moving. I don't know how anyone can watch that without absolutely just crying, you know. It's
Yes,
just,
I love
it's
that.
just really, really, it was really beautiful.
Yeah. And then watching her play off the energy of everyone else, and everyone else wanted her to be successful. Everybody in that room wanted her to go for it, and she did, and it was just great.
And I think that's one of the things that we forget about, that help other people help us sometimes to have resilience, and that people want us to be resilient. They want us to succeed. And if they don't, then they're not really our friends,
Yeah, why are
right?
they in your lives,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
exactly.
evaluating those relationships.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So just like Kayla, life teaches us certain negative things about ourselves and who we are, and they create fear and doubt about who we are and even our own abilities. And these things that we learn through our life are called false narratives because they're not true about ourselves, but we believe them. And they often are habitual and they become our go-to scripts. So here are a few examples, certainly not all of them, but here are a few. I must be perfect or bad things will happen. Or if I pray about everything, it's going to work out all the time the way that I want it to.
Right. And I need to please everyone always, all the time. I need to be a people pleaser. Or I don't want to make any waves or hurt people because I'm just got to be nice all the time.
Or the only way I can stay safe is to follow the rules other people have set for me. Or if I'm a good girl or boy, people will love me and accept me.
Right. Yes. And I'll also, I'll get everything I want if I work hard. I just got to work harder. Or I am judged by others and I don't deserve love when I don't perform well.
Yeah. So these examples of false narratives, you can find your own. Hopefully you saw a little bit of yourself if you've got any of these going through, and these
There are
create
plenty of them.
and they create false ways that we think about ourselves and that we think about life. They're not true. They create false conclusions that we react to instead of trying to stay open and vulnerable and discovering the truth about ourselves and about other people.
And when we live in our false truth, we spend so much emotional energy fighting battles that are not even real. And when we use up our emotional energy, we're just less resilient and we don't have the energy to be resilient. So let's look at some ways we can that we create false truths, and then we're going to look at ways in which we can counteract some of that. Okay. So one is thinking with our feelings. For instance, feelings become facts instead of honestly looking at reality. Like I'm feeling like you're looking at me badly right now. You know what I mean? It's just a feeling that comes up, and obviously it's very true because I thought it.
Because you thought it. Yeah, because you felt it. Because you felt it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another one is called mind reading. It's where we assume what other people are thinking, and it's never positive. It's always negative and it's always judgmental. And most of the time, they don't even know that we're in the room.
And then there's this one I just love, catastrophizing. Like, I got a splinter in my finger and they're just probably going to have to amputate the whole finger. Or something like with our kids, we get really like nervous about something like, Peter didn't finish his math test. He flunked it. And of course, he'll never get into Harvard now.
Yep, taking a little deal and making it big.
Exactly.
Another one is labeling, and we can label us, we can label other people, and that's just typecasting and then treating them, boxing them into that role that we've typecast them in. And when we label someone, it's dehumanizing. If we quit thinking them as a person and start thinking of them as a label, then we don't have to deal with their humanity, and we lose our humanity in the process.
That's right. Yes. And then there's overgeneralizing, and these are two words that you should never use. That is always a never, it's like, well, she never listens to me, or they're always interrupting. These are how we create these false truths because we use these overgeneralizing
Right.
terms. So yeah.
Another one is bias confirmation. It's kind of like I've already made up my mind. Don't confuse me with the facts.
Oh yeah.
And so if we have a bias, our ears are tuned into things that confirm what we already believe, and so we close our minds off, and we're not able to really fully grasp truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's another one, Wendy, just counting positives. So like somebody compliments you and, it's just like, oh, this whole thing, I got it really cheaply at, Walmart or something like that, or just not really taking in a compliment. Or if something really positive is happening, just saying, well, wait till the other shoe drops. Like here in New England, we're that way about the weather. It's like, oh, it's really great weather. Well, tomorrow's probably going to be rainy. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that just takes away all the resiliency because you're always expecting pessimistic things.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one that we wanted to look at, and there are more, there's more than these, but these are our top ones, is we have to be right. Life is a win-lose battle. It's never a win-win. We have to always, 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 yes, I'm overgeneralizing, always win. And so we go to war over crazy things just so that we can be in that win-win situation.
Right. And I have to interject one thing here. I was telling you about the very first time I went to a workshop with Byron Katie, who you all know by this time I love. Her very first workshop, she comes on stage, she sits down, and she's just looking at us, and she said, do you want to know how to make people happy? Do you want to make someone happy? And we're all like, yeah, like what do you do? And she's like, let them be right. And it was like, I thought I got my money's worth right there, because that's it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and there's one more, Wendy, that I want
Oh,
to just
yeah,
say, and
I
that's
there is one more.
choosing to be offended. It's like it's like, no matter what somebody says, you find a way to feel hurt by it. Like, your boyfriend says, "Wow, you look really nice in those jeans," and you think, "Oh, you just think I look fat," or like we just turning things against ourselves just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we look at them that way.
So with all these false narratives, these false truths that we tell ourselves, you can see where that just totally zaps our emotional energy because we're always becoming the victim. We're always the butt of the joke. It's really so it zaps our emotional energy, which again in turn affects how much resiliency we have. So it takes courage to stop and reevaluate these false truths that sometimes we love to believe and sometimes we hate to believe, but we still believe them because of our own insecurity. And so we want to look through the lens of real truth. And if we can find that lens, that will help.
Yeah.
Someday,
So Wendy and I have a couple of ideas that work. And Wendy, do you want to start with?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Wendy's got a good one. I like this one.
Okay. So one thing I love is to just start each day with a foundation, with a practice. And it could be a spiritual practice. It could be a routine. Um, and then at the end of the day, have a way to power the day down. So you've got a power up and a power down. And my routine has 5 things in it, and I do them every day. Same 5 things, and it gets me going. I'm doing them now without thinking, and I'm just sort of getting wound up into the day because I'm not a morning person. It's a hard one for me, and it just gets me going and it grounds me for the rest of my day.
And I like to think about it for myself. It's like, as an actor, I'm getting ready to act in my life and I need to warm myself up. And, if I'm going to be sitting around with my stinking thinking, I've got to find a way to start counteracting that right away, because it starts right away. So
Yeah, and it
that
carries
that is
over
such
through
a
the whole
good one.
day.
And
Yeah.
I also love this other one that Wendy and I've talked about several times. And that is just to keep an attitude of being curious, watching what I'm thinking, watching what I'm saying, watching my reaction, rather than just jumping in with my own truth, or just questioning whether or not what I'm thinking in that moment is really what's happening. So it's just watching it, being the watcher. And that's another reason to have a morning routine, because very often it's the time where you're either in meditation or prayer or something where you're starting to train your brain to just be more of a watcher than a reactor.
Correct, correct. And mindfulness practices in the morning is a great way to do that. I really encourage those. The next way, and this is one of my favorites because I love music, is to create an anthem song for yourself. And I have 4 of my favorites. Depending on my mood, depending on my energy level, depending on what's going on in my life at the time, I have a different anthem song. But Alexa knows them all and plays them all for me in the morning. And one of them is "This Is Me." That
Yeah.
became when I saw that clip. That became immediately an anthem song for me. And that song, once I get a song in my mind, it stays in my mind with me at least all day, and it's transformational. It gives me energy, it gives me
Mhm.
courage, and it gives me resiliency.
Yeah, yeah, it really can change the mood of the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, what I notice is that transitions in the day, when I'm moving from one role to another, especially, from like work to home to, transitioning with different people. I'm sure as a therapist, you have lots of little transitions with new people coming in, right?
All day long,
So,
yeah.
so you have to find some resiliency in that transition. And one thing that I do is to find a contingency plan, or have created a little bit of a contingency plan if things, in the transitions don't go as I think they're going to go, or I start to feel lost, because I can be like, okay, like all of a sudden, what am I doing? Why am I in this room? And so to have a contingency, if, like, for instance, someone cancels on you or something happens, that you just have a little go-to thing that that will bring you back and center you back into that moment, so you can be resilient to whatever the next thing's gonna be,
An
and
idea
be
for
able to choose
that
it.
in the
Yeah.
morning when I'm doing my morning practices, I always do a list. And the list, I just go straight back to the list and go,
Good,
okay,
good,
that's
good.
not happening. What else
Yeah.
do I have to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. Plan
So the
B,
next
plan
one,
C.
right? Now we're on plan X. So, and another one is to be aware of your self-talk and avoid getting back to old thought patterns. Because let's face it, we've been in those thought patterns since children, and so we can't just snap our fingers and say, "Oh, I have a better way to do this," and expect that that's going to be really great. It will be for the first 2 or 3 weeks until we forget that we have a new thought pattern, until it gets routine enough that it's not new anymore, but it's not routine enough that it's permanent. So making sure that you call yourself on your old thought patterns and
Yeah.
be really aware of what you're saying to yourself.
It's that record that's
Yeah,
playing,
it is.
and
It
we
is.
just play the same song. That's why we have the new anthems that we
That's
play.
why we have anthems.
Yeah,
That's what they
yeah,
do for me. Yeah.
yeah. And another one that I really use a lot, and that is to call people when something happens. To have, I have like, I would call my little tribe of people that when something happens, I can call them and I know that they're going to hold me through it, or they're going to work with me through it, and even just witness it. Um, you quoted Brene Brown earlier, and Brene Brown, in one of her talks, she talks about shame and she talks about guilt. And she says she has this one friend that every time, she's starting to feel shame, she'll call her up and say, I'm in the middle of a shame shit storm and I need, and they'll just talk about it, and it lightens it up. It just releases things. And then I can be so much more resilient in the rest of the day because I'm not alone. And I think that it's the isolation sometimes that makes it hard.
Right, right. Another way is to journal, and that's like calling a support person, only it's you. So
Mm.
you're going internally for support. And when we think of journaling, we usually think of, the leather book and writing and writing. And that works for some people. In fact, it works for a lot of people. I have never been able to do
I'm
that.
not good
So
at it.
I do it, and I type on my computer, and then I read it, and then I erase it. I get on my phone, and I do a phone memo, and I play it so I can hear myself. Sometimes it helps to hear it in our voice. I have clients that draw; they have a beautiful art journal, and that gets things out. I have a client who does these amazing collages from magazines, and they're so powerful. There are so many ways to journal, and so find your way and get it from the inside to the outside, because that's what journaling's about.
Yeah. Get it so you can see it,
Yes,
because
or
then you
here.
have some clarity and maybe perspective from that point.
Yeah.
And another one is to, and I do this when there's nothing else I can do, and that is just to go out for a walk, maybe exercise, yoga. I mean, think about yoga. I mean, it's about being resilient in your body and flexible, and resilience has to do with just flexibility. But find some ways to get some oxygen going and move the body a little bit and take a walk, see some flowers and trees, or even if it's wintertime, go out, see the snow. It will start to just change your mood, and that will add to your resiliency. Also, all of the things in nature is probably, if you look at nature, the most resilient thing that we could even actually, look at or look to for how to learn to be resilient. You'll see a root that will just go, oh, that I'll go this way. And, or the way that water travels, so
Yeah,
nature is really one place where we can
it
find
is.
resiliency and bring more resiliency to our day. You were going to say, Wendy?
Well, they've done some research on forest bathing. That's what they call it. It's basically walking
Yes,
through nature,
yes.
strolling through nature, and that really does help. I'm thinking up here in the Northwest, it rains a lot. So you have to be resilient to get out in nature. Uh,
Totally.
but that's why God made umbrellas. And I really do like to be out in the rain if I'm warm enough, and if I'm dry, if I'm wearing the right clothes. Just getting out of a room when I'm having a feeling or a thought that's negative, not resilient, just moving out of the room or out of the house is a great aid in helping get some perspective on that thought or that feeling.
Great point, Wendy. Yeah, great point.
So the last one is being kind to yourself. If you think how many times you beat yourself up or tell yourself something negative, and compare that to the amount of times you tell yourself something positive, are you being kind to yourself? Some people really are, and well done you. Some of us are not, and research has said to just maintain evenly, we need 7 compliments for every criticism. We need 12 for growth. So how you doing? We never get up in the morning and go, I'm going to mess my life up today. I can't wait to get started. That will be part of my morning practices, how to do that. We don't do that. We want to have a good life and we mean to do well every day. So be kind to yourself. Look at your intention. You can look at your results too, but look at your intent as well. That's equally or sometimes more important than your results.
And I'll just add that, you know, I'm my primary relationship. I'm the only person that's going to be with me every day of my life, right? So, I'm responsible for being kind to me. That's my job. And, so yeah, you're absolutely right about the kindness, Wendy. Um, so, these are just ways Wendy and I've found to be resilient, and we'll post them in the notes down below. But we know that there's a lot of other ones, and we'd love it if you would share your comments with how you are using different tools to be more resilient in your life, and share them with all of us, because that'll help all of us.
Totally will. And if you have any questions or suggestions for topics in the future, please put those in the comment section too.
Yes, please choose to interact with us, because we are here with you. We're all in this together. And, if you want to contact me, my website is www.cindyloubarlow.com. And I also have a book called Playing You a Star is Born, Acting Secrets to Create the Life You Really Want. It's on Amazon. And you can also check it out on my website as well.
And if you want more information on life skills and tools, you can visit my website at wendyrawlings.com. So next time, please join us when we answer the burning question: what is the key to live a longer, happier life?
Yep. Come back for that one. Until next time, remember, you can't choose your challenges.
But you can choose your response.
And please don't leave this page without subscribing and leaving suggestions in our comment section, as Wendy already asked.
Please choose to interact with us. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.